absolutely.
All right, and tell me your title.
The President of the United States Zoological Association.
All right, well, tell me why you're here today and why hold this press conference.
Well, I'm here today for several reasons. One is on behalf of the animals. The other one is on behalf of what kind of a huge mistake that I feel that the state of Ohio is going to do by passing this bill and handing animals over to unqualified people. You're going to end up with a much larger problem than the Zanesville tragedy.
And when you say that unqualified people, what's the danger of seeing this pass?
Well, the danger is they're fixing to take animals away from private owners and facilities that currently know how to take care of their animals and turn them over to sanctuaries just because of a word, sanctuary. And sanctuaries, keep in mind, that are not USB licensed, close to the public, nonprofit, just like it's spelled out into Senate Bill 310, is you're going to hand animals over to someone that is not inspected by any government agency to control the Animal Welfare Act. You're going to hand them over to people that don't have emergency protocols, diet protocols, vet protocols, any of the training protocols, and you're asking for trouble.
And what does that make you feel like, given your years of experience working with animals?
Well, you know, horrible that animal rights organization can come in and put a state in such a panic that the panic creates a larger tragedy than the original tragedy did. And my goal here today is hopefully to put some forethought into some lawmakers' heads and get them to step back, take a deep breath, and seek out professional advice to write a bill, because none of us disagree that there needs to be regulation. But banning is definitely not the answer, and throwing them into unqualified sanctuaries.
Anything?
Now, your life has been threatened through all of this as well.
My life is threatened all the time.
Well, I just know my reporter was going live this morning. He kept bringing that up, that you didn't know who it was, but you have hearing death threats.
We have ideas of the death threats. The death threats came in quite regularly to me and the people who invited me here to speak on the behalf of the animal world today. And the reason is because I have the original 25-year plan out of their office, and I have all of the receipts to show that most of the sanctuaries that are accredited by the organization that they have in this bill paid up to $94,000 to start those sanctuaries. You know, they bought the animals to put in those sanctuaries, and by the year 2025, they have a plan to make these animals completely out of the private sector into only their sanctuaries to profit $1.5 million per year.
How'd you obtain that?
Can't say.
Well, you understand what this all stems from, right? The incident in Zanesville, Ohio?
Well, you know, I understand that it came from the incident in Zanesville, Ohio. I, as a person who owns and runs the largest facility in the world, I house 170 tigers right now. I have my own belief that the tragedy in Zanesville was not absolutely a tragedy. I believe that there was a lot of bit of setup behind that. One man who owns the keys to the cages in his facility would never have been able to, why cut them apart, first of all, when you own the key to the padlock? Second of all, one person would never have been able to release 56 dangerous man-killing animals by himself without being killed or injured to start with, let alone take the time to cut 3-foot holes in the cages. So I believe that the state of Ohio is very misrepresented, and it's a shame that a bigger investigation was not put behind what happened in Zanesville, Ohio, because I would never have been able to pull something like that off myself and get out of my facility without one of the cats taking me out before I had time to unzip my pants and pull my pants down and shoot myself. there's just way too many questions for me.
Have you had an opportunity to talk with Jack Hanna at all?
You know, me and Jack Hanna don't see eye to eye, and that's no public secret. And the reason is because Jack Hanna, when the Zanesville incident happened, he went public. He was against private ownership. He was against all this stuff. And Jack Hanna had a 3-year-old boy's arm completely ripped off at his facility. So in my eyes, Jack Hanna is no one to be talking about whether or not somebody should be responsible with a lion or a tiger or a monkey. I think responsible private ownership is the way to go. I think an affordable permit is the way to go. Affordable insurance is the way to go. But slapping thousands and thousands of animals in a sanctuary just because they're nonprofit and the owner figured out how to get the public to fund his hobby by being nonprofit is definitely a tragedy waiting to happen.
Do you feel maybe instead of slapping all the things on the animals like the insurance and all that, what about having the owners or the people in charge of some of the organizations psychologically tested too?
Well, you know, you can get me going all day on this because in my opinion there's a whole lot worse parents out there than there is exotic animal owners. And just because your child goes to school and shoots 4 more children doesn't make her children should be illegal. And that's exactly the same way the exotic animal world should be looked at. Just because she's a fruitcake and she has monkeys doesn't mean I'm a fruitcake and I shouldn't have tigers. But the problem with all of this is it is being rushed so fast that we have a government agency called the United States Department of Agriculture who governs the Federal Animal Welfare Act that needs to be doing their job. and sanctuaries and zoos and facilities should be made to be USDA licensed, just like the state of Florida requires. If you're a sanctuary in the state of Florida, you have to be USDA licensed in order to be a sanctuary. Then you have federal inspectors, you have federal requirements, you have cage requirements, you have public safety requirements. And the state of Ohio is fixing to hand that over to horse people because the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries is primarily horse people.
Yeah.
So why create a more dangerous environment when we have a federal law right now that just needs to do their job?
So, and just to be clear, you're saying, it's not that you're saying that change doesn't need to be made, but you're saying that SB 310 isn't the way to go.
I'm saying change does need to happen. It needs to happen properly and fairly. There's 2 things. One is SB 310 is a deadly bill. It is, I've seen it. I've been to facilities. People are going to die over this bill. Whether it's at a gun standoff like the man in Georgia last week that shot himself over his chickens, people are not going to give up their animals. So let's step back and let's create a law that's going to be fair for everyone. First of all, the big problem with SB Senate Bill 310 is it's illegal. You cannot, as a state, federal, or city government, force someone to join a nonprofit organization, a private nonprofit organization, to be exempt from a criminal law. That's illegal. It's called creating an illegal monopoly.
Anything else?
Anything we missed that you want?
Anything
Well, in the speech,
Yeah.
it'll